Good morning, everyone. This is what's on really important things to do today. We are today with the closing engine, our host Jason Kanigan, and in a few moments we're gonna welcome our CMO for hire, our specialist of all topic matters, Stephen Monaco. So with no further ado, I'm gonna try to beam up Stephen with us. Stephen Monaco, how are you doing today?
Stephen, I've been duly beamed up. I appreciate it.
So this time Scotty didn't mess up, right?
No.
For what's on really important things to do today with Future Now, right? And I'm happy to have you today, guys. And I think we're going to talk today about an interesting topic that's all about mobile marketing. Isn't that right?
Mobile marketing. That's
right.
That's the topic today.
Yes. Thank you, Stefan. Thanks to MyBB for producing this broadcast.
Welcome.
Look at the future now. We've done a few of these episodes, Stephen, and it's exciting to be back again.
It's good to see you all.
When Stephen told me that mobile marketing was going to be the topic, I kind of went, well, doesn't everybody know that mobile marketing is important? And as we dug into the topic, I realized, first of all, there was the typical disconnect between what people say they think is important and then what they're actually doing. And also, there's a chance to discuss some really fresh data here that Stephen's gotten a hold of. And also, I had the question of, well, wait a minute. Yeah, I know mobile marketing is important and all that, but what do you do tactically other than make your website responsive? And I didn't really have a great answer. And as a conversion expert, I was like, I ought to know a little bit more about this. So, Stephen, tell us a little bit about the fresh data that you've got and give us a snapshot of that mobile landscape today, will you please?
Sure. So the research comes to us from CMO.com, which is owned and published by Adobe, and it's very recent. It's from the last week, actually. And I'm going to run through some statistics here. So keep in mind, before I jump into this, that mobile is a way of life for consumers now. No longer is just the young age demographic. It's people of all ages, almost half of which keep their mobile phone with them or within arm's reach of them all the time, even while they're sleeping. It's within arm's reach. So we are connected, good or bad. We are married to our cell phones and our mobile devices. Now, in 2018, the average amount of time spent on a mobile device is 4 hours daily, which is really up. It is. I mean, it just keeps going up each year, and it goes up fairly dramatically. By the end of this year, mobile devices are expected to account for 79% of all internet use. So that says says a lot.
So we are really moving off of our desktop computers and onto mobile most of the time.
Big time. If you think about the way people spend their time in the evenings, they're relaxing, doing things with their children or their significant other, the cell phone is, like I said, it's nearby, if not in hand or in your pocket. So people turn to it when they're curious about something and want to learn more, have some purchase intent or thinking about maybe buying something, or just, it could be fairly whimsical as far as their intent to buy something. But the whim passes through their mind, and there's Google right there on their phone, and the next thing you know, they're getting some information about it. They're getting educated and kind of surveying the landscape about, maybe I will look more into buying an X or a Y.
Right.
So here's some big numbers. They're kind of hard to get one's head around, but this past Christmas shopping season, 2017, $35.9 billion was spent via mobile devices.
A lot of money.
Yeah, just under $36 billion. And that was record setting. It broke last year's record, which broke the record from the year prior. So 33% of the online holiday shopping was done via mobile.
So a third of the purchases that were made for holiday gifting, basically, were on a tablet or a cell phone.
Absolutely.
Okay. Wow.
And again, this is very current information from Adobe Digital Insight.
Right, the season we just had.
Yes. We just
came out ago.
In addition to that, regarding traffic to retailers' websites or e-commerce stores, 52% of that traffic was over a mobile device. So yeah, I mean, mobile being a way of life for consumers is just the way it is now. And that is not a passing trend that is going to end soon. It's the way of life, and it's going to continue along those lines.
You have a statistic here about paid search clicks, because when you say, look, the ad blocker wall is up, well, how the heck do buyers get in, right? If they're not being pulled in by ads, then how are they doing it? They're doing it through...
Paid search would be like Google AdWords or ads in Facebook here in this platform. And it's 53% of clicks on paid search are via mobile devices. So over half now. Mobile's here to stay, and brands need to be adopting it. So you mentioned a minute ago about responsive design, which people, if they don't know what that is, that means that your website is mobile friendly. Things display on it properly on a mobile device, which is very different than the way it displays on a desktop. Over half of companies and retailers still do not, like 52%, they do not have responsive design. I know.
Isn't that crazy? Yeah, baffling.
I mean, it is. I mean, it's a real head scratcher. It's like, that is not a crazy expensive thing to do.
No.
Yes, there are some costs, but the trade-offs are so well worth investing in.
Because people won't recommend a site if it's badly designed for mobile.
57% will not recommend it and will not do business with a company.
I'm sure they won't buy either. They'll just leave.
They hit,
because if you have to pan around this huge website, with a little window this big, because it isn't responsive design, you're just going to depart. Okay.
Yeah, and the way people use mobile, if you think about it on your phone, I mean, the pinch and zoom thing is something that we do. And if it's not mobile responsive design, that doesn't work. Not only is the navigation and the menus and the way images are depicted a mess, but if you want to look at something closer and pinch and zoom, you can't do that. So considering the very short attention span of people and the number of other places to buy most anything, they hit the eject button quickly and they're out. Those are some of the key statistics.
That we pulled out of the new data from this season that we just had of major purchasing. So lots of purchases, big money. Most people, the big majority of them, are on their mobile devices, surfing around, getting a brainwave. Gee, I wonder what it would be like if I got this thing. Okay, let me do some searching. Oh, some paid ad results maybe come up, right? And I click through and I start building the picture in my head as a consumer of which brand do I want, what are the features, what are the packages available, who might I buy from, where might I buy from.
Exactly.
This stuff is not being very well managed, this whole process, by most retailers, I would say.
No, you're right. I mean, it isn't, and it needs to be.
So if mobile is a way of life for consumers now, what does that mean companies need to do?
Well, the very first thing they need to do is develop a mobile-first mindset and get their head around the things that I think they already know at some level. It is like what we just talked about, is that people are on their mobile devices and they're pretty much almost an extension of ourselves. At least the smartphone is. It shouldn't be a secondary consideration for companies as far as like, we need to embrace mobile. It needs to be
at some point.
It needs to be, again, like a mobile first mindset is important. And then with that mindset comes the investment into mobile, which is a necessary thing to make it so. You've got nearly half of consumers engaging via mobile. I mean, how can you afford to not invest in mobile?
Right. Why wouldn't you?
Yeah, why wouldn't you? Let the rest of the consumers who are on mobile, just let them go and say, oh well, there goes missed opportunities. That's okay with us.
So mobile first is the strategy. what kind of technology might we use in reaching people through their phones?
Geofencing is an awesome thing. I mean, that's kind of starting up at the top. Geofencing listening so that you know where a person is.
Okay, so let's explain that term for the benefit of our viewers.
Sure, happily. Geofencing means that it's location-based and people keeping their GPS purposefully and willingly keeping their GPS on a fairly regular basis on their mobile phones. You know where they are, literally. So using the data that you have about that person, you can connect with them. I mean, there's no channel or medium that puts a brand in touch more directly and more personally than mobile.
Right.
I mean,
okay. So if you're in an airport, it can know you're in the airport. If you live in a city near a particular Walmart or a different kind of store or a salon or something, it can know that. Okay.
It can know that precisely. And that's a good segue really into the types of information that you can push out to people. The information you push should be very personalized. That is one mistake that brands make and companies make when they do get into a mobile mindset, is that they think one-to-many mindset, which is a mistake. It needs to be one-to-one, because if you have the data on the person and you know their likes and dislikes and their buying habits and their behavior, because they've demonstrated those things, you're not guessing at it. They're not part of a persona where they fit into one of 7 buckets, if you will. You know them as an individual. You can deliver contextually relevant information in a very timely fashion. So in an airport, if you know that, they're a Starbucks fan and they've got the Starbucks has a mobile app that works really well. I mean, they are a company that is involved in best practices when it comes to mobile, and you know exactly what Starbucks drink they enjoy. I mean, if you send a message to them that, hey, the Starbucks is just 40 feet ahead and to your right. The types of conversions you get on, or that kind of a push notification, are huge. In fact, they're 10 times higher. Mobile offerings are 10 times higher. The conversion rates are 10 times higher than if you get a print offering for a discount or an act now type of thing. And using the airport, as an example, push notifications are something people really enjoy, like your order has shipped, or that's good news. Conversely, the not so good news is that your order's been delayed due to extreme weather conditions. Well, if the person's in the airport, that's not a good time to give them that information. There's a lot on their mind. They're getting, they're going from one gate to another, getting their bag, connecting to another flight, whatever. That kind of extraneous information for that moment is not contextually.
It's just more noise, really.
It's more noise because when it comes to mobile, it's all about moments. It's like not just seizing the day per se, but it's capturing the moment and interacting and engaging in the moment with relevant information that is, again, contextually relevant to where the person is and what they're doing right then.
So mobile first strategy. Sounds like moments might be a strategy, and then you might get down into individual types of moments as a tactic. And technology includes geofencing, data collection, individualizing responses, and SMS messaging and push notifications.
SMS, yes, all of that and more. SMS is probably the lowest tech and the least expensive thing to get into as far as push notifications. It's not particularly expensive. Yeah, one thing that you hit on that's important is the data. And I think that's one area where companies fall short across the board with marketing, or almost all types of marketing, in that they don't have the data in their CRM, so it is in a state where they can do these individualized, highly personalized, highly contextually relevant deliveries of nuggets of info.
Okay. So if I'm in the airport and my flight is delayed and they know I'm a Starbucks guy, maybe it would be a good idea at that moment to send me a notification that, hey, you've got time. What are you going to do? How about you go over to Starbucks and you get 10% off on your favorite drink, or maybe even no discount. But just the suggestion at that moment is remarkably relevant, isn't it?
It is.
That would be a good moment.
It's highly It's highly relevant. And, this is just off the cuff that I hadn't even thought about. But with your example, considering how easy it is to get flight information, rather than get that information from the airline regarding the status of your flight, you could get it from Starbucks. That you do, in fact, have time because it's been delayed by 20 minutes. Or since people want helpful information and not to be preached at or pitched to via the megaphone, just connecting with them and providing them with information that is helpful to them. Starbucks could say, as a way to build loyalty to the brand and feel good about the brand, is that you don't have time for a coffee. Your flight is boarding now. So, you should probably get over it.
If it could figure out that you were approaching. No. Yeah. This is a bad idea. I like it because this is about still developing rapport, and it's a courtesy notification, and it's helpful. And it's not about, hey, buy my stuff, which is everybody's so tired of. I think that would be so unique and refreshing that people would turn around and talk about it on social media. They would share that story. I would.
Oh, I think definitely. I think they definitely would. And you're right. I mean, people are tired of being pitched to. The megaphone analogy that has been used a number of times, you'd think that marketers would move away from that more because they know that they're not supposed to be doing that. There's such a strong propensity to snap back to the old way of doing things. But with this example that just sort of bubbled up here organically during our conversation, providing some helpful information, it makes people feel good about the brand. And as we've talked about before, and I know we will continue to talk about, the customer experience. It's not always about the experience while they're making a purchase. It's just the experience in life in general, and finding a place to be helpful to consumers in the moment. And yeah, I mean, like your example, like, no time for Starbucks, catch us when you land at Tampa or wherever you're going. But right now, your flight is boarding at gate 35.
Right.
Some of this information seems sketchy or intrusive to some people. However, we volunteer this data to brands. And again, going back to what I mentioned earlier, which is key to remember, is that consumers now expect this. They want contextually relevant information delivered to them on a timely basis via their mobile devices, which is kind of a tall order for brands. And one statistic was that 44% of consumers are very annoyed when they get information pushed to them on their mobile device that is not personalized and is not contextually relevant. So that's important too. I mean, it's like there's a time and a place, to use the very old adage, and it holds true here. There's a time and a place to send messages to be helpful, to let them know about something that they might not have happened upon otherwise. Little moments like that, again, using the moments purposefully, and these micro moments, as they're referred to, are really key.
Okay. What about video as a technology? Because we know all about text.
Sure.
How can video be used as a technology in mobile marketing in the context of these moments? That's
a great question, and I want to sort of preface the answer with that. Year over year, video consumption on mobile devices is going up at a rate of 55%. So that's pretty significant growth as far as using those devices to consume video. Okay, here's an example. So you're a customer of a home security company, and because of geolocation, the company sees that you are a long way from home, as in hundreds of miles, not just down the street or across town. Your alarm is not armed. So sending you a link to a short video that shows you how to arm your home security system through your phone from a long way away is extremely helpful. That's a thing that would make consumers feel good about the brand. It's being helpful. And it's contextually relevant. They'll feel much safer. I mean, they bought an alarm system or a security system. They might have just been in a hurry on their way out the door and didn't set the alarm unintentionally. They meant to, but they were harried as they left, and now they're on their plane and then at their destination, and they're going, "Oh, I didn't set the alarm."
Right. Or haven't thought about it at all. Yeah.
Getting a timely notification with a video that shows you exactly how to do it is way cool. I mean, that's an example that pops into my head as you ask that question. It shows them literally what to do.
Right.
So that as soon as they
not
see
just,
it,
hey, you have a problem.
yeah, here's how you do it. And it's a short, little, concise, there's not
video,
there's not a sell message in there or anything like it. It's just a constructively helpful, and it's something that you can do as soon as you stop watching the video. You go into the app or the website and just follow the instructions, and then, deep sigh of relief. The security systems is armed. I mean, our home is protected now.
Right.
So that's an example.
I really want to make sure we dig into moments here, because this is probably a new term for people. It was a new term to me when we started researching this. How to identify them and how to make use of them is what I would hope to get a general idea across to our viewers.
It really goes back to the data and understanding customers as individuals and looking at them in a holistic way and being able to readily identify what's important to them and what's relevant to them as individual people. And back to that one-to-one. I talk so much about engagement. It's being constructively helpful by providing information that is relevant, like I've said, relevant in that moment or in that micro moment, but it needs to be one-to-one in the very literal sense. It doesn't really help the person if they just fit into, as I mentioned earlier.
Right. Yeah, we're not messaging 50% of our home security alarm buyers the same message of how to arm it. Are you away from home, or when you're away from home?
Right.
That's nice. I don't care.
Yeah.
Right? It's probably the response.
You just annoyed me because I'm not away from home. I'm sitting in my that kind of thing. Yeah, I mentioned personas. So this isn't about, we'll send this to a segment of our audience and you look like this demographically, psychographically. This is about one-to-one. And, again, mobile as a channel or a medium, what medium puts you more in touch with individuals? None. I mean, this is the one.
Okay, so Stephen, I can hear the CMOs whining now, but this is going to cost money. This is going to be an investment. What do you have to say to that?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yes, it is going to be an investment. And yes, it is one that you should embrace and adopt and allocate the resources for, because again, this is a way of life. This is the way consumers function now. And we've talked about this a number of times across each of these episodes. Behavior has changed dramatically over the last decade or so, the way people interface with the world digitally. And you have to adapt and evolve to meet the needs and hopefully exceed the needs and wants of consumers. I mean, you're not going to do that or won't have any chance of doing that if you don't engage in mobile and think about mobile first in your strategy. It should not be an also and, okay, we'll get to that. And, we've talked about this before, too. I believe it was episode 1 about just the demands on chief marketing officers. They are significant. The demands are more so than they ever have been before. They have so much more on their plates than they ever thought about 20 years ago, 30 years ago. These things they weren't relevant. Now they are highly relevant and they're very important. So those resources and the expense might mean getting, besides the personnel to help in mobile, a chief marketing technology officer or someone in that capacity in a consulting basis who can get you up to speed and point out best practices and the better vendors to turn to for your technology needs as it pertains to this whole mobile marketing thing. It can't be ignored. Right.
No, this is the way buyers are actually behaving, the technology they're using, the way they're interacting, the way they want to be interacted with. And those who invest in systems to get that interaction going the right way, that doesn't annoy, that isn't megaphony,
I like
that. One-to-one, are going to win that
Jason,
huge chunk of money. Yes. Well, yes, I combine phony and megaphony.
Mega phony.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, don't be phony. We don't want to hear your contrived messages. As consumers, we become somewhat narcissistic about our needs, and we We are extremely demanding. The things that we expect of brands now is, like I said, it's a really tall order. However, are you going to turn a blind eye to these things as a company and as a chief marketing officer or a marketer in a much smaller organization that doesn't have a CMO? I mean, it's kind of like closing the doors to your business half the time. Like, okay, every other hour we're closed.
Right.
I mean, that's a reckless hit for success, isn't it? It's like, okay, you're turning half the people away. So the old Dr. Phil adage, how's that working out for you?
Right. So I want us to hop along to an example of what people are doing with car purchases, how they're doing automobile shopping with mobile. I think there's 4 questions in there that people want answered that are not just good for car purchases, okay, or for car sellers. I think that just about any retailer or anyone selling something is going to want to address these things in the mobile marketing format. Okay?
You're right.
That's what I think based on my experience as a conversion expert. I like these questions. They're simple, they're straightforward, and they're echoed by a lot of other sales experts. So let's hop down there. Let's begin with this. This statistic is startling to me, but it goes back to that, I wonder what it would be like, or I wonder, what would a convertible be like, right? 95% of auto shoppers now start their research online. Like almost everyone. That's wow, astounding to me.
It's really eye-opening, isn't it?
Right. Yeah.
I mean, 95%, that is almost everyone, quite literally.
Yeah. It's not 50%. It's not 70% even.
95.
More than 9 out of 10 people
yes
are starting their research online. And we know that most people who get to the point where they want to buy a car don't know what they're going to get. They're not sold on, okay, well, I got the Toyota Camry last time, and it's 8 years later, and so I'm going to get the Toyota Camry. Some people are like that. I probably tend in that direction because I know what I'm going to get usually, right? But I don't know. Like 2 times ago, I went out and I had no idea what I was going to get, and I ended up with the convertible.
Oh, you did?
And I didn't know that was available, right? And then I encountered it. So, okay. What are the questions that people are turning to mobile to get the answers to when it comes to car purchases, which again, I believe are valid across the whole retail space?
Well, they are valid because it's just indicative of consumer behavior now, and that you turn to mobile first to start that process of educating yourself and just sort of delving into the thing. I mean, it starts as a whimsical idea. Right. I should probably replace my car. I'd like a new car. That's where they begin, is on mobile. And it can be very, very casual. Again, like relaxing in the evening or winding down or on your commute home on the train or in your Uber ride, you pick up your phone and start looking, and then start educating yourself and deciding like, I want an SUV, or I think I want something that is 4-wheel drive because of the weather or whatever it is. There was a question.
Oh, well, anybody who follows Dan Kennedy, long-term direct marketer, right? Will know he has always said that this is how the process has gone forever about buying something or creating something even, right, in your life. You begin with that daydreaming. I wonder what that would be like. And it's good or bad, whatever. And then you create the thing popping into existence, right? Elon Musk does the same thing. I wonder what it would be like to have a rocket company, right, with reusable rockets. And it begins as a daydream, but then it gets more and more solid. So what are the 4 questions that car buyers want answered that are also valid, I believe, across the whole spectrum of retail purchases?
Well, one of them is, can I afford it? Your daydream might take you to a luxury car or exotic car that it might be beyond your reach financially. Right. Then again, as you delve into it, you might find that it is something that you can afford.
Like me in the convertible. Yeah.
Yeah. So that is one thing. Where I should buy it is another.
What dealer, online, offline? Which of these 7 locations of Ford dealers in my local area should I go to?
Exactly. And, I can speak from personal experience having 2 children, both of which are in their 20s now. And when I got their first cars, I wasn't going to buy them new cars by any stretch of the imagination, but wanted something that was both safe and dependable for them, and wanted a used car. So I started doing research on CarMax online and seeing what they had locally and what they could or ship over from within the region for an insignificant fee, a couple $100. And wow, what an incredible experience. What an incredibly positive
There's an
experience.
app that has adopted mobile marketing. They've got a technology, they've got a database and a system.
And they've got the reviews they've got the reviews from other people who have purchased that type of vehicle. And there's 35, 40 photographs of the exact vehicle. So I have purchased 4 cars from CarMax since our first.
So they're ready for you and you're in the moment. That's
I mean, it was just a great experience. And it all started online.
So can I afford it? Where should I buy it? Which may be virtual like that. What else?
Am I getting a good deal?
Which is not the same thing of can I afford it?
Yeah, I mean, is this a fair price? Am I being gouged? Is this the prevailing rate for this item? So that's a question. People want to be treated fairly, of course. No one wants to spend more on an item than they have to.
There's a lawyer I follow out of Michigan who knows a lot about lemon law, and when you brought up, here's 40 pictures of the exact car, I was like, yeah, because he's had many examples of the car being listed out of state and somebody buying it and it being shipped to them and it wasn't that car. It was not that exact car, and that is not an uncommon thing. So Carfax is taking care of that, so that's great. So our fourth question is it right for me? So can I afford it? Where should I buy it? Am I getting a deal? And is it right for me? And these are I believe, 4 questions that anybody, any seller could do a good job of answering through mobile technology and strategy. Okay. What can sellers do through mobile devices to kind of get at more personalized local marketing? How can they better understand their audience?
The best way to understand the audience, again, is on the individual level based on behavior that individual has demonstrated. Rather than guessing at it. They've done certain things. They have visited certain sites. They have bought certain items. They have looked at other items. And if you know their age and gender and all these things that is very typical to have in a CRM, then you can start connecting with them directly and in that personalized fashion that they now expect.
Okay. And then I think going back to the very first thing you mentioned, geofencing. Because if I want lunch, I don't want a great deal on lunch 100 miles away.
Right. So I think
I want it near me.
Yeah, I think the statistic is that 30% of mobile searches have that near, quote unquote, near me element to them. So consumers are looking for something that's relevant to what's going on with them right now. Like, I'm hungry. You mentioned lunch.
Right.
So what's nearby? I don't know this area. I'm coming out of a meeting in the other side of town. I don't know it's around. I'm hungry for a burger. I'm hungry for Italian. I'm hungry for Chinese. So the discovery that happens from the near me type searches tells you what it is that you're looking to find out. So yeah, if you know as a brand what their interests are and what they like, you can send a message to them that because they are near you and they do like this type of food, or it's just lunchtime, you can send a message like an act now type of message that within the next 30 minutes, get a free appetizer or 10% off or whatever the offering is. The fact is that they are near in proximity. Had you not sent them a message, they wouldn't necessarily know that you were around or that you exist. So yeah, there's purchase consideration where there wouldn't have been otherwise.
Right. Okay. So let's wrap up then by looking at some examples of companies that are really doing well with the mobile experience.
Okay.
And then people can go to their websites, I guess, and take a look and see, this is how this works. So I'm definitely going to.
Okay, good. Personal favorites is a mobile app by Starbucks, which is extremely popular. It allows people to place their orders by voice into their mobile device, and that's cool, of course. It's convenient. People love convenience, and you can redeem rewards and things through the app as well, which builds loyalty. And it seems like people who are Starbucks loyalists are anyway, but it's nice to be recognized as such and, get the perks that come along with spending $4 or $5 a day on a coffee there. Another favorite is IKEA. Man, they have a really cool app, and they use augmented reality in their app. So for those who aren't familiar with augmented reality, it's where you take your mobile device and point the camera towards something that is real in your physical world, and something else is superimposed upon that image from your camera in the scale, so it fits in what you're looking at. So IKEA has this thing, it's called IKEA Place, I believe is what they call the mobile app. So you're looking at a room in your house or your office or apartment, whatever, and you're thinking that you might want a chair, and you have an idea of the size of the chair and where it might go. So while you're holding the device up, you can scroll through the items that are available from IKEA and choose one. So you just click on it, and it puts that item in what you're looking at, in your space, in your room. So you can see, oh gosh, that chair is really cool. I really love the design. However, it's too small for the space, or it's way too big for the space, or it fits the space, but it would never make it up around that tight turn in the stairwell to get up to the room. So again, convenience, so you don't have to go to the store to make the decision.
Right, and hope that your measuring tape
exactly
attempts were good enough and whatnot.
Exactly.
So this thing will scale it. You can see the color. Is this bookshelf going to actually fit here?
It's outrageously cool. I mean, it's just the convenience.
So they have definitely invested in this technology.
Yeah, and they're a big brand who can afford that type of investment, but I know the ROI for them is tremendous because they love the convenience. They're purchasing things that they know will work in their space. And if you were attracted to the yellow chair and you look at it through augmented reality and see it really doesn't go, the red one actually looks, you can make all sorts of choices like that and be very informed and go ahead and place the order and then just go pick it up when you're ready to get it. Similarly, Home Depot has a cool thing with an augmented reality app that they use for paint colors. So anyone who's painted a room or painted an office or anything like that knows that you look at these tiny little swatches that are a couple inches, and they're not very representative of what that paint color is going to look like on the wall. So a typical thing is to go to the paint store or the Home Depot and buy a little paint or paint some sample spots on the wall, a couple feet by a couple of feet, and try to get a vibe or a feel for what is that going to look like. Well, the app that Home Depot uses that has the augmented reality is the same type of thing as IKEA's, where you point the camera of your mobile device at the wall, and then you scroll through the colors that you're interested in. You tap the color, and then there on your device, you see your wall in the color that you were thinking about and go, oh, that's awesome. Or, oh, that's terrible. And you can mix and match and continually refine your selections based on that trial and error, so to speak, in a mobile app with augmented reality without the hassles of, the trial and error of actually going there and painting parts of the wall and waiting for it to dry and saying, it just doesn't look like I thought it would on the wall based on the swatch that was that big. Again, convenience, very, very cool. The affinity people develop to brands and stores and companies when they have the ability to do these things and interact that way, it just turns them on, flips their switch. Like, this is cool. So I mentioned Lowe's has a similar thing for home improvement. So if you're thinking about putting in, new kitchen cabinets and countertop, for example, you can use almost the exact same type of app with augmented reality to see what's it going to look like. What would these old cabinets we want to replace look like with a cherry finish and a black marble top or whatever. whatever the choices are. So it takes all the guesswork out. And of course, on an expenditure like that, it takes away the buyer's remorse that you have and the cognitive dissonance after you made the purchase and it was all installed and you just don't like it. But you spent $7,000, so what are you going to do? I mean, you pretty much live with it, most likely, rather than rip it all out. So these things that provide this level of convenience and giving them the power to make these very informed decisions about, does it, like you said, is it right for me? Does this work for me? And having the ability to make those decisions without committing to it and seeing exactly what it's going to look like, way cool. Way cool.
Right. So I don't want our viewers getting overwhelmed with the sense of scale in those examples. I'm going to be thinking about this on my own business and websites and that, right? About how to implement the strategies and the technologies and the tactics that we've talked about today. So thank you, Stephen, for giving us an in-depth look on mobile marketing and what can be done about it in a way that really I haven't gone into this level of detail before, and this is kind of my bread and butter conversion, right? So I appreciate it, and my thanks to Stefan.
To conversions and
right. Anybody who's looking for some expertise on how they might use mobiles to develop that interaction that we talk about here on Future Now with your target audience, your target market, they should talk to you, Stephen.
I really, urge everybody to engage with Stephen Monaco because he can make an assessment about all that needs to be done. That would be a clear view and vision for the beneficiaries, the customers, corporation that want to deploy that with efficiency and impact.
Very good. I'm happy to help. It's my passion.
I know, and you're very good with that. So don't change up. Okay, guys.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone who joined us for this fourth episode of Future Now. Join us next week, same bat time, same bat channel.
That's right.
Okay. So, Stephen, you for the strategy, and me for the conversion. At the end of it.
Well, thank you. And thanks, everyone, for tuning in this week. Happy to have you. And we will see you next time.